Instructomania presents The Achievements of Ancient Egypt. This video will detail the lasting contribution of ancient Egypt, including the development of ancient Egypt architecture and innovations that aided in the construction of their monuments, the ancient health and body products Egyptians developed, and lastly, the agricultural and trade developments that increased Egypt's economy and armed them to defend it. The word achievement through a historian's lens means the lasting contributions of a civilization. Some examples may include developing art, designing architecture, exploring science, creating inventions, and exchanging ideas. What are the lasting contributions of ancient Egypt? Architecture, medicine, and health were three areas of progress for ancient Egyptians, especially after certain leaders increased and influenced Egypt's wealth. The first and longest ruling female pharaoh, or Egyptian monarch, was Hatshepsut during the 14th century BCE. Both Hatshepsut and later her stepson, King Thutmose III, oversaw ambitious building projects. During this era, Egyptians had major advances in many areas, especially architecture. Egyptians used the ramp and the lever to move heavy stone in order to build the pyramids, like the 6.5 million ton Great Pyramid of Giza and other important monuments. Bathing was a regular part of daily hygiene for Egyptians due to the hot and humid climate. During the prosperity that followed Hatshepsut's rule, more elaborate baths were constructed in major cities for the Egyptians to enjoy. In addition to bathing, the Egyptians focused on other types of health and beauty advancements. Egyptians are credited with having the first dentists and for inventing the first toothbrushes and toothpaste. Egyptian dental remains show cavity fillings and extractions. They also invented the first breath mints made from essential oils such as myrrh, frankincense, and cinnamon. They boiled the oils in honey, then rolled it into small balls which easily melted in the mouth. The Egyptians made cosmetics that both men and women used. It not only enhanced their facial features, but it also protected their skin from the sun. The black coal worn around their eyes could be the world's first sunglasses, protecting their eyes from the sun's glare. Egyptian doctors also made advances in surgery, such as the resetting of broken bones and the awareness of tumors, which was recorded on early medical journals made from papyrus. The agricultural economy of ancient Egypt saw many changes after the Classical Age decline in 1782 BCE. Following famine and leadership disunity, a mysterious peoples took over Upper Egypt. Historians call them Hyksos kings, meaning foreign rulers. Though their origin is unknown, they brought many ideas with them to improve Egypt's economy and defenses. The Hyksos kings introduced horses, chariots, and composite bows when they took over Upper Egypt, changing the way Egyptian armies went to war or defended their land. Hyksos kings also developed bronze into weapons and farming tools, as well as created ceramic pottery. Later, clay from the Delta Nile became pottery traded all over the ancient world. The Hyksos used their knowledge of animal husbandry and metalworking to invent the first ox-pulled plow, and used goats with special bags attached to their backs to run across the fields and scatter seeds. The Hyksos introduced crop rotation. By changing which crops grew in which parcels of land and giving some ground no crops to recuperate, the land stayed fertile so their harvest produced a surplus of food. Calendars were developed around 3000 BCE using a 12-month year. Both Egypt and Mesopotamia created similar calendars, and historians have a hard time deciding who did it first. What made the Egyptian calendar unique was that they based their year on the rising of the star Sirius. Clocks such as sundials and water clocks are attributed to the ancient Egyptians. Being able to tell the time helped with growing seasons and labor. A water clock was a bowl with a pinhole in it placed in another larger bowl of water. As a certain number of hours passed, the smaller bowl would fill up. The Egyptians created papyrus, a type of paper made from the papyrus plant, as well as black and vibrant colored inks. These inks were not only used for decorating their buildings and bodies, but also for writing information on crop yield and trade. Pharaoh Hatshepsut opened up trade after the Hyksos kings had isolated and stagnated Egypt's economy. By expanding Egypt's borders and improving Egypt's trade infrastructure, Hatshepsut greatly increased Egypt's wealth and relations with other foreign kingdoms. Perhaps the best-known pharaoh is Ramses the Great. Ramses II had a huge, powerful army of 100,000 men. Very few nations had an army with more than a few thousand in this era of history. During his reign, sea pirates attacked the heavily loaded trade ships of Egypt bound for other countries. Ramses II defeated these pirates so Egyptian trade could flourish. Test your knowledge. Which was not a product that most likely evolved from ancient Egypt? Did you guess correctly? It was not the dentist drill because ancient Egyptians grew very knowledgeable about dentistry and tooth care. Let's try again. It wasn't the vase because ancient Egyptians became known for their pottery, often created with the clay that came from the Nile Delta. That's right. The product that was not made by ancient Egyptians has to be the fan, which was actually invented by American engineer Schuyler Wheeler in the 1800s. He also made the electric elevator and the electric fire engine. Let's try again. Remember, you are evaluating which of the three products most likely did not evolve from an ancient Egyptian innovation. Did you guess correctly? It was not the eye black used by athletes because ancient Egyptians smeared coal around their eyes to stop the glare of the sun. Let's try again. It wasn't the notebook because ancient Egyptians created papyrus to write on with their unique inks. That's right. The product that was not made by ancient Egyptians has to be the tent, since Egyptians built stone structures with levers and ramps. The nomadic tribes of the Arabian Peninsula used thick leather tents to keep out the heat and sand, so they probably influenced the creation of modern camping tents. As you can see from the game, in the case of ancient Egyptians, innovations like building ramps, toothbrushes, and bronze farming tools changed lives for the better. Consider this. Does innovation change lives for better or worse in the modern era? From two teachers to all of you amazing teachers out there, we would like to thank you for choosing our resources to use in your classroom. Find more Instructomania teaching materials and lessons at our Instructomania store and on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for your support.